Hi guys, it's me, Susan Holt. I'm an artist and I'm giving you a bonus live today. Not sure anybody's going to show up because it is a Sunday, but because I have some ideas and I wanted to do some experiments. So that is what's going to happen today. Let me put you on the stand and we'll get started. All right. Over a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing, so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. Work over here a little bit. All right. So I have had an idea and not sure how well it's going to work or if it's going to work. So I figured I would experiment with you today. So I just have a 9x12 canvas board, canvas panel. Since I'm going to be experimenting, I better put on my apron. Because I might be making a little bit of a mess. Not too much of a mess, but I do have things that I need to mix. So we'll see how this goes. Okay. Be right back. All right. Hi Tina, hi Melissa. Thanks for joining me today with no notice. All right, so my plan is I'm going to experiment with a little bit of Elmer's glue and a little bit of gesso to put a couple of dot mandalas on here and then let them dry and pour over them so that they have a raised surface under the paint. I don't know how well this is gonna work, but we're gonna figure it out. I'm going to tint my gesso and my glue so that I can see it on a white background. You'll also be able to see it better on a white background from the camera, but I need to be able to see it. So let's start with the glue. So I'm labeling the front and back of my panel so that I know where the glue goes and where the gesso goes. so I know which is which. And I label the back of the panel because when I do a pour painting over this, I'll have erased my words. On the front, so I want them on the back. And I'm not putting a lot of paint in with the glue, and I have watered down my glue. This is the glue bottle that has the watered down glue in it for another project. So figured might as well go ahead and test it out today. I have to even see if this glue will act like paint and come off of my tools like I want it to. Well, it's not bad. I'm going to use my erasers and prop up my paint container the angle I want it at. There we go. It's pretty good. Now, as this dries, I may want to add a little bit more paint to it to kind of build up that mound. But you know, when you play with glue when you're a kid and you never wanted it to look raised and it did, that's kind of what I'm trying to actually harness with this. So we'll see what happens. Now I have to see if I can get consistent dots with the glue. And it looks like I can with the smaller tools, which is nice. So it looks like we have Jess joining us and Jo Claire. Hello. I think I missed somebody's comment. I will go back and read the comments and comment back when I am done painting or gluing, dotting, whatever I'm doing today. So I do have some history with this technique, and it's from when I used to make reproductions of medieval calligraphy and illumination. If I was using modern watercolor paper, I would use glue, but if I was using the whatchamacallit, vellum and authentic materials, then I would use a medieval recipe for my gesso. But the glue worked just as well. I should say the modern school glue worked just as well. And sometimes I even had to use either the modern school glue or a rabbit skin glue on top of the gesso. Well, there we go. So I just made a big old giant blob because I wasn't paying attention. That's all right. That is all right. And just like 2021, I've wiped it off. All right, we'll start this over again. Thankfully, I wasn't very far along on it, but no big deal. It's literally just glue and a little paint, and it wasn't dried enough to make those funky little rings that sometimes it gets around the edges. I am going to space out my dots a little further to give them a little bit more room. So I've already learned something. And I've also learned I have to be a lot more careful dipping my tools in the same amount into the glue. The paint's a little bit more forgiving, but this seems to be a little less forgiving on how much stuff gets on the little ball at the end of my tool there. This is completely experimental at this point. And I like experimenting with my art and with my tools and materials, so not all bad. Not bad at all. Oh, I see my center dot is kind of misforming. It's getting misshapen over here. All right. I am not expecting this piece to turn out to be a masterpiece or a great work of art. It is an experiment piece. Hey, if it turns out to be something fantastic, I will be happy with it. But if it doesn't, I'm not going to be mad. The larger I seem to go on my dot tools, the more the glue is spreading. So, I'm wondering if it's watered down a little too much, or if I'm just rushing it. I think I'm rushing it. So, yeah, I'm totally rushing it. And that's okay. Like I said, just experimenting today. I am finding that I have to move my tools faster than I do with the paint, especially when I go up in size. So that's interesting. Okay. I'm finding that on the swipes that I'm doing, I want them to be as long as I get from the paint. I do have to do kind of a double swipe. And I know that because I'm so practiced with these tools with the paint that I know exactly what I can do with them. So this is just going to be a very basic end pattern. Because I want to test it with something that is close to what I put on. Close to what I put on my regular paintings. Yep. I cannot work as fast with this. So that's good to know. I have to be a little bit more precise with it. So I think I'm going to leave the gloops and the globs as they are on this side. Just so I remember how finicky it is. So this piece will not be going out for sale. Clean up my container before the glue dries. That was the glue. Now, let's give the gesso a whirl. gesso's pretty thick. I may have to thin it down too. Oh, yeah. I want this gesso to be about the consistency of the paint that I paint with. I think that's pretty good. And I'll add a couple dots of green so we can tell them apart. And so that I can see them on the canvas panel. Even though I have them labeled front and back as to whether they are glue or gesso, I wanted to give myself a couple of different colors because, as you know, we artists are very visual. So I have chosen red and green. They're complementary colors, which means they are directly opposite one another on the color wheel. Oh, and I think for this one I'll do a linear design. Yeah. So I want this to stick up a little bit and be a raised design. And make sure I have a nice dome on these. Excuse me. So while I am experimenting, hope everybody had a good New Year. A good New Year's Eve. Hi Jennifer, hi Amber, thanks for joining me today. We had a lot of neighbors set off a lot of fireworks. We medicated the dog because she does not really react well to fireworks. And we tried medicating the cat, and she does not do well with medication. She'd rather sit with me or be under the bed than be medicated. So that's what she did. She sat on my footrest all night till the banging stopped. Again, I'm doing an experiment today. The red is watered down glue. The green is gesso, watered down gesso, just from the bottle, just store-bought. Because I want to see how this looks if I have a raised pattern under the pour paint. I want to see if either of these materials is a viable option for how I create my designs. Listening to my dog walk, she's walking a little weird, so I may have to go check on her after this. She's settled down. She's got arthritis. She's got a bad leg. She's 12 years old. So walking weird is not completely out of the realm of possibility with her. So we'll give her some time to rest, and then I'll go check on her. Well, I think the gesso was winning so far. It's doing more of what I want it to do than the glue. Which I kind of expected, especially on canvas. As you can see, the glue over here has really started blending together. So we'll see where that takes us. Okay, I think I have my designs down where I want them, so I'll toss this out. Clean up my container. And we'll see how that dries. course, I have to now be patient, whatever. Sometimes I'm not very good at patient, especially when I'm doing an experiment like this, but I know it pays off. So I will let those sit. I'll give you a look closer. So we see the glue over here has gotten all blobby and run together. And the gesso I expect to stay in place, but I don't know how raised it's going to be because I did have to thin it down to get it to work with my tools. So that is the experiment for today, and that is where I'm going to leave it. Walk away, get out of the studio, so I quit looking at it, and I will see how it dries and let you know. I may let you know at Wednesday this week. Of course, that's at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will talk to you later. Bye.